What's up, Vikings fans? This is Matthew Deary coming to you from Minnesota Vikings Breakdown. It has been a while since I jumped on and give you my thoughts about the off-season ongoings like the draft and the lockout and the insane free agency that we got to see this off-season. But with the season starting on Thursday night and the Vikings starting on Sunday, of course, I got to jump back on and kind of inform you on my thoughts on the preseason and some of the things that have gone on. So I thought that I would just go ahead and start with some of the things, some of the notable roster moves that we've made. Of course, we got rid of Tavares Jackson and Sidney Rice, both vacated and took their talents to Seattle. Talent goes for one of them being Sidney Rice, the other one Tavares Jackson. The quarterback who many people feel very much is not, NFL worthy. Well, I wouldn't say that he's a horrible quarterback. I think he's a good backup. He's not necessarily a starter. Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks, I'm not really sure what they're thinking, really banking their future on Tavares Jackson. More than that, I can't really think about what Sidney Rice is thinking, putting his career on the line by going with Jackson, because if Sidney Rice really broke out with Brett Favre, a talented NFL quarterback. And before that, who was throwing to him? It was Tavares Jackson. So Sidney didn't break through until he had a talented quarterback throwing him the football. When he had Tavares Jackson throwing him the football, he was under the radar, not really known. He's always the person we were talking about, like he could be something big. So he turns into something big, and then he follows Tavares Jackson to Seattle. So what's gonna happen to him? I'm not really sure. I've always liked Sidney Rice, but I don't think that he's gonna have a big splash there. And I don't understand why he would. I mean, of course, there's a million things going into the process of deciding where you're gonna go. I would think that one of them would be who's going to throw you the football. I would really want Donovan McNabb throwing me the football as opposed to Tavares Jackson. The other thing that I really, really want to talk about is Minnesota Vikings 2010 starting safety, Madaeo Williams, gone. Thank you, Madaeo Williams. As many of you have known, who know me, know that I really do not like Madaeo Williams. He's a bad coverage safety. He's a bad tackler. Made our secondary so much more vulnerable. Our young cornerbacks really needed a safety who was going to help cover their mistakes as opposed to make them blow up even more. So getting rid of Madaeo Williams is a great roster move on my part, from my opinion, and I'm more than ecstatic to see that he is gone. Get rid of his contract. We also got rid of Ryan Cook, who was shuffled in around the offensive line last year, and we also got rid of Heath Farwell. Now, many of you remember Heath Farwell. He's our Pro Bowl special teams guy. He was actually due $1.75 million this year. That's a lot of money for somebody who only plays special teams. He only plays special teams. Now, as you know, with the collective bargaining agreement being signed, NFL players and the owners, they bashed heads. One of the things they bashed heads on was where to put the ball for the kickoffs. The kickoff used to be at the 30, now it's at the 35. So with the ball being kicked off at the 35, there's going to be a lot more touchbacks. Gary Anderson, as many of you know him, even old Gary Anderson can kick the ball out of the end zone from the 35. So there's going to be a lot less special teams coverage, meaning that paying some special teams great tackler specialist like Heath Farwell $1.75 million cannot be justified anymore. The kickoff returns and the kickoff plays will be significantly declined this year, which is what the NFL owners wanted, because of course, they're telling us that they have the players' safety at their heart of their interests. So, that's what they're doing, is they want to minimize collisions on the kickoff. So Heath Farwell, gone. Sad to see him go, but the money is really too much to pay somebody like that. Additions to the team, of course, we have wide receiver Jenkins out of Atlanta. He is a good addition to our team, not only because he's huge and he's a nice threat. He's nowhere near as good as a Sidney Rice, but he's a great blocking wide receiver, which will really help our running game. We got Charlie Johnson to fill the hole of Uh, what was that guy's name again? Oh yeah, Bryant McKinney. He was that fat guy who showed up to camp. Yeah, we got rid of him, which is another good thing. Which some people might, be a little skeptical about Leslie Frazier's decision to get rid of him. When you show up 40 pounds overweight to camp and you literally did nothing in the off season except party and make, your own club music or whatever Bryant McKinney did in Miami. When you do that, you kind of slap and you do it all on Twitter. It's all out there. When you do that to your organization, I think that they made a good decision by saying, we're not going to tolerate this crap. We got Charlie Johnson from the Indianapolis Colts to replace him. Indianapolis Colts offensive line, usually you're going to think, he's got to be solid. But part of the Indianapolis Colts offensive line being good is from Peyton Manning. The fact that the Colts were able to just so easily able to part ways with him kind of says something about Charlie Johnson. He gave up, I believe, 7 sacks last year, which, as you know, Peyton Manning doesn't get sacked a whole lot. 7's kind of a high number. So we're going to have to see what Charlie Johnson brings. His backup is going to be a guy who many people are high on, DeMarcus Love, very young guy. It's good to see he made the team. And hopefully this year, as many diehard Viking fans know from last year, the offensive line was such a shuffle. Loadholt was hurt here and there, and Sullivan was hurt. We had so many injuries on the offensive line. We were constantly putting pieces in. And for the rubes who know, football is very much decided in the trenches on the offensive and defensive line. If you don't have a cohesive unit, you're going to have a lot of struggles from the passing and the running game. And so it's really nice. Hopefully this unit can stay healthy. I mean, they move well, so that's good for Adrian Peterson, who in the preseason has looked very patient through, getting to the holes and accelerating through them. So let's just hope that, they can really do something with Adrian Peterson, in the backfield, and Donovan McNabb, keep him safe back there because we all know he's getting a little bit older. And on the defensive side of the ball, we have Chris Cook returning back from a couple knee injuries, and then, of course, Cedric Griffin also returning from a knee injury, and Antoine Winfield. Cook is going to be backing up Winfield, which, of course, is a good thing because Antoine Winfield is obviously one of the premier cornerbacks in his days. He's helped Cedric Griffin become a seasoned vet. So let's hope the same thing happens for Cook. Cook, a lot of people have had lots of bad things to say about him. He's raw talent. He's extremely talented cornerback who can really make a difference on this team. So let's just hope that Winfield really helps, puts Chris Cook under his wing, helps get Cedric Griffin back into things, who looks healthy again. And then in terms of the linebacking situation, of course we lost Ben Lieber. But now we have E.J. Henderson and his little brother Aaron, as well as Chad Greenway, who we just signed to a contract, so that's a good thing. He's one of the league's underrated linebackers. So that's my roster recap, kind of showing the differences on the Vikings roster from last year to this year. Of course, the collective bargaining agreement, that whole shenanigans. I'm not even going to go into that because that's over. Lockout's done. It's nice, but that really took a lot of time off of the team's ability to practice together and be with each other. The teams that stayed mostly the same are going to benefit from that the most, like the Falcons and the Patriots and the Packers. Teams like that who already have established units, especially like a quarterback position. It's gonna benefit them more. Of course, I'm happy to get Donovan McNabb into the fray. It'll be nice if he can kind of help Christian Ponder along, who has also looked very good. Donovan McNabb, he will definitely be an improvement if he can stay healthy. His arm still looks sharp. He's still got that cannon. I really like what he's been able to do in the preseason offerings, and he could make a difference on this team. I forgot what the guy's name is, but I heard a Philadelphia writer talk about Donovan McNabb, and he said Donovan McNabb plays his best when he has a chip on his shoulder, when he has something to prove. And I would consider the 2010 season with the Redskins something that is really going to make Donovan McNabb feel he has something to prove on the 2011 Minnesota Vikings. The season could not be as bad as some of us think. We We lost a lot of key people, but we still have Adrian Peterson in this lineup. We still have Percy Harvin in this lineup. You give the ball to playmakers on offense, and you have a defense that doesn't necessarily give up a ton of points, you can still win football games. So, I don't predict a wealth of success for the Vikings, but I think this will be an interesting season year regardless. I'm actually going to talk about the upcoming season a little bit more in the next video, where I'm going to talk about our upcoming matches in week 1 through 17, so check that one out. For now, just keep watching. Thanks.